Hello, welcome to Elixir Pro, and today we're going to dive into efficient way to REST API testing with VS Code. In this video, we're going to explore the best techniques to ensure your API code is robust, reliable, and also easier to other developers to test your APIs and document that. From setup to execution, I will guide you through a seamless testing process. Let's elevate your REST API game together. One of the most frustrating things that I think when I am creating APIs is that how can I help other developers to consume the APIs that I've built, and how can I document it easily? Sometimes we think about Postman and Notion Note, but Insomnia and using the REST clients. But if you see the crash course that I'm recommending here, you're gonna see that I'm using the Insomnia, but I found a better tool to use that, and I will explain to you why. So this is one of the tools that you build when you join to Elixir Pro. So if you just want to learn Elixir Phoenix and Live with someone who has around 6 years of experience with the language and studying the language and following the best practices in the market and real world example, not someone who just see tutorials, you can click on the link below, and you're gonna learn with my experience and how to organize and create a good architecture for your Elixir projects. But let's go ahead here. So this is one of the app. So this is an API, and I'm using a command to execute the API. And one of the last steps that I always recommend is that before you create your REST client API for testing, I recommend you to create good tests for the context and especially for your APIs too. So if you come over here and see, we have like a test for creating a car, test for renting cars, test for users, and you're gonna see that I have here, let me just share with you the coverage. Hang on. Reject. You're gonna see that it's around 90% coverage, and my last step, sometimes just because I need someone to consume my API, is testing the REST client, because I want to make sure that my code will work independently related to environment and related to external services and whatever that we have. So I recommend you to start using the REST client, which is this guy here, because it's straightforward to document your APIs, and it's going to be straightforward for your team just to see the API and start consuming it. Let's see a couple examples. So we have our Elixir code here on our lib folder. We can have a folder called REST, and then we can say general.rest, which is the file that we're gonna use with our plugin, which is the REST client. So you can download it. I'm gonna give you the link, and after that, what we're gonna have here is that let's start creating our first API to see an example. So I'm gonna provide you some syntax, and then you can do it by yourself. But our first step, let's go keep focused on creating a user to start using our API. So first of all, we need to have our application, Elixir application, running. Then we can start creating a user. We can say create a user. It's gonna be a post. So this is the syntax that I'm using now. And what we're gonna do, so we have our API. So the method is post, and our URL will be like HTTP localhost 4000, and by default we have our REST here. We can follow our controller stuff. So as you can see, we got our test, but we can come over to our lib and just open the router and follow some patterns here. So we have by default, one of our patterns is going to be the API. And then we have API related to session and user. So one of the things that we can do too here is creating a documentation related to those APIs. So we can do something like users and session required requests and so now we can say something like users right here, and then because we have it, we can just start sending the request. As you can see, we got the answer saying that no function calls matching because we are missing some params, we are missing some stuff, we don't have the bar params, which is something that we really need. So what else that you can do? So we need to prepare our params, and when I go over here, and then if we go to our controllers, API user controllers, we got a create service where we need the user. So this is what we're going to do now. Just comment here. So we're going to have a user. It's going to be a JSON. We can say email, and we can say like admin elixpro.com. I think for now it's okay, just for testing. And let's see the new result. It's complaining to. So what else that we can have here? So let's just add maybe not right now, but we can say content type, which is going to be application/JSON. And let's test it once again. As you can see, so it's complaining because it's param. So we already have the router working. So we need some params. We can say something like the user name, which is going to be the @adm. So we need the password. Let's say Sky. We need the password _ confirmation. And then we need the first name, and I'm gonna need the last name too. Name 2 will be the same, and the drive license will be something like this. And when you call it, so it's complaining. Oh, it's a comma. I forgot to remove that, and saying that the email has already been taken because I've already created this user. But we can say like user, and then the drive license will be 321, and the email already exists to user.1. And there you go. We are using the API, which is fantastic, but we need to learn some techniques to make it more organized. You can see on the documentation, but what we can have here to make this useful. So when we are creating your REST API, so you can create a commit related to NPRs, related to how to use the client too. And then we can have like VSCODE settings .json, which is going to be very specific for this guy, related to the VSCODE configs. We can say REST client environment variables. Then we can have the shared, and one of the things that we can do here is, how about we have the base URL, and then we can have the HTTP here, 1000, API, because we're going to use that through our app. Let me just duplicate it, but in this case we can say something like this is shared, but how about we have the prod, or maybe I think it's fine. Maybe URL will be the same just to see the difference. Let's just say 4001. Of course, this is not gonna work, but it's just for experience what we can have. And now we can just remove it here and say right here the base URL. And as you can see, we have the prod environment selected here. So let's just come over here, and as you can see, the connection was rejected because the port 4001 does not exist. But if you come over here and go back here and say something like the dev environment 4000, this it depends of your team, and come back here and change to dev. As you can see, drive license has already been taken because it's already exists. So what else that we can reuse here? How about sometimes we need to specify a couple of steps related to the full password, something that's going to be more straightforward for us to find it, and also not replicating the code. So we can say admin email. We're going to use that for to log in. Then we can say admin@elixpro.com. Also the full password will be like 123 123 123. We've been talking about it, and now we got our first API. But how about when we logged in? So things that's going to be more straightforward, we can just copy this specification here. Then we can say log in, and on our login we're not going to use that, and we're not going to use that too. And just get rid of this, and then this is going to be our new service here. And by default we are not going to use that. We're just going to say our admin user, we're going to say admin email. The password will be full password. Let me just remove some extra stuffs here, and the URL will be so we got the users here, but we're gonna be talking about the sessions, and this is gonna be a post 2. When we do that and send the request, so we got a problem because I forgot to remove this comma. Login. Just copy this URL here. Sorry about that. Stink. So now we got our request. Let's try that, and as you can see, we got our token, and we want to use that on our next request. What we can do, so we want to see how many cars the user is renting it. So what we can do here, so we can create another request. So, and this request will be related to we can say rental requests and points. And one of the things that we can do, we can just copy and paste some stuffs, and then we can say rental list rentals, something like that. Rentals, And then what we're gonna do is that we're gonna say that our URL will be rentals. It's fine. And we have the content type, but we need the authorization. It's gonna be the better. And we need this information from this URL. So what we can do, so we can just start getting this information. And to get this information, we need to name this request. So what we can do is like, we can give the name as name login, which is fine. And then to get the better token, what we're gonna do is like, this is enough for us. We're not gonna see more APIs, but right here we can say login, which is our request. And I want the information from the login, from the response. So we're gonna see response. Then we have the body. And then, as you can see, we have the token. We have the data, and then we got the token. So when we do that, we have another API, and when we call it, we have unauthorized and invalid token because we didn't send the request. But when we do it, as you can see, the error was removed. When we try once again, so it's complaining about no match errors on the right size, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry about that. Oops, sorry. Let me just see what's going on here. So we got our token, and one of the things that it is missing, so we got a token. The token seems to be fine, but in this case, I forgot to just add the double quotes here. And when we do it and send again, unauthenticated and invalid token, just go back here, got the token, and then send the request, unauthorized or invalid token. So we are getting the user, but for some reason it's not valid. So right here, what we can do to just to document this, so we can just have, so we can have the token here and just reuse what we have here. Just one more sec. Let me just get this guy here, and then go back here. So we got our token here as a variable too. So it's saying that it's invalid and unauthorized. So now let's just make this simpler. In this case, we can just use the token here, and then we can send that again. We got our token. We could not list that, so got the login response body data dot token. Okay, no right hand side, so we got our better token. I don't know, maybe we need to specify more things. So we got that it's an application JSON. So it is complaining as the user ID. Oh, never mind. I'm just forgot to use as a get stuff. And there you go. Now we got our data too. And I think this is enough for you to start using and documenting your APIs. Most of the functionalities that you're going to use is all of them. So I just shared with you the token, how you can use that, reuse through your API. So if you really need to reuse that, so let's just go back here to your routers. We are getting this information through the specification. So we need to see the user has a permission as an admin. So let's go back here. So we got another service related to get a user from the ID. So let's go back here and send a request. And as you can see, we got this ID here. Oh, the role is user. Let's just add one more permission here. So we can come back here and then we can say that we have the user. So we want to get the rent cars.accounts.get user, where we have this ID here. So now we got the user, then we can say rent cars.accounts.update user, sending the user. Then we can say that user, we can change the role admin. When we do it, it's saying that it is false. Let's just, oh, it's because we don't have the password confirmation. The role is invalid. Say admin. So the password and password confirmation can't be blank, so we can say just password right here. It'll be 1, 2, 3, and then as you can see, now we got the role admin as permission. Now as you can see, we got the new permission. We can come over here to admin permissions, so we can create another documentation saying admin request endpoints. Now we can just check the categories, create cars, and do more stuff. So what we can do related to categories, so we can have another documentation related to admin requests endpoints, where we can just copy it. But because we have the base URL, we can do something more related to admin base URL, where we have the base URL. So we can have the base URL, and after base URL, so we can say admin now. Oh, so now we can just say admin base URL. And then categories, let's just get the categories here. So we can just create a documentation, say get categories, and then we have data's empty. You can just now duplicate it, but see create categories, where we have a post and category. What we need to have to create a category, let's just walk through our APIs too. So we have the category controllers. In categories, we have only the name and description. So we can just say something like this, and then we can say description category 1. Just remove this comma here. Now there you go, we create a category, then we can get the categories, and which is fine and fantastic. So I hope you enjoy with this tutorial. learning how I'm using now REST clients to document my APIs and make and help my coworkers' life easier. See you in the next tutorial, and bye bye.